All right, welcome. Let's hear it for Mervyn. Hello.
Hello,
We don't have a
Danielle.
live studio audience, but maybe next. Oh, there we go. There we go. How are you, Mervyn?
Who who needs a live studio audience when you got tape?
Word.
I'm good. I'm good, Danielle. How are you?
I'm good. I hope you've been enjoying this discussion about the differences in age in the workplace. What are your thoughts?
Age is a number. That's all. No, I
I love
think
it.
that yeah. You've all three of you have been making very valid points, and I'm obviously here to give the not the millennial view, obviously the slightly older view. So I think that age age is an issue. I think for people who feel out of touch. So you get older, you feel, you know what, the workplace isn't for me. You know, the tech, the this, the that,
Yeah.
the way people communicate. It's not like when I started. Having said that, age also, if you look the other way, and I've seen it, with a lot of the research and stuff I do, I've seen maybe younger people, millennials, maybe the next one down as well, just assuming that older people aren't going to grasp this stuff. It's the kind of there was talking about years ago that kind of, the more experienced person can show a more junior person in the office how to do the job, and the more junior person can explain to them what rap is or something like that. It's a kind of, it was like a cultural and work thing that people were talking about years ago. But I think that most people I know, who have been around the workplace for longer, are pretty adaptable. If they remain in the workplace, it's because they enjoy work. And certainly, I think it's the same in the US. It's certainly the same in the UK and Western Europe, that retirement rates are dropping. People are choosing not to, even if financially they can, they're choosing not to retire. And choosing to carry on because they miss the cut and thrust of business. They miss the daily interaction, and obviously we're all living a bit longer. So, it's we're seeing this kind of looking for maybe more experienced people. I think that it was interesting, your conversation with the green open to work banner,
Hmm.
because probably for somebody, I suppose Gen X or bottom end of the boomers, that would be a bit of a red flag. It would look a bit desperate. So, I suppose they would think rather use connections. Maybe, if you hear someone's hiring, find a way to contact them and maybe have a conversation or something.
Right,
I
which is
think
very
there would
old
be a bit,
school.
yeah, I think they would be a bit loath to put an open to work banner on their face, particularly if they looked over 50, shall we say.
Right. It's so interesting. And especially because social media and finding jobs through social media, I mean, the internet itself is something that came after you graduated. Would that be correct?
Yeah.
Right. So
Yes,
the
yes, yes.
so what was paint a little picture for us of the outlook when you graduated, or you entered the workforce, of what employment looked like and offered at companies.
I started off, I mean, I didn't really have to go through the rounds of applications. Um, I did my exams. I decided I wanted to be an accountant, and I was an accountant for a few years, but I got
Mm,
bored. I did my
checks out.
qualifications, so I did a year at college. But I had, again, this is probably something that for the younger generation, I don't know. So I keep saying younger generation. You know what I mean? Job seekers today. I could say to my father, who was an accountant, probably why I wanted to be one. Who should I train? What kind of firm should I join? Where would be good training? He knew a couple of firms, people he had trained with, put me in
Mhm.
touch with them. I met them both. They both offered me, and I accepted one. When I went in, probably about 200 people working there. Obviously, it was professional services, so you had partners, managers, and obviously all the way down to supervisors, clerks. Um, I suppose the first difference I would say is that our office hours were 9:30 to 5:30, and those were the hours. At
Mm.
9:25 you could hear a pin drop in the office, and at 5:35 you could hear a pin drop. And
Wow.
everybody arrived between 9:25 and 9:30 and left between 5:30 and 5:35. And no senior people expected any different. Um, Whereas I went through workplaces, kind of 15 years ago, where it was kind of, if the notional hours were 9:30 to 5:30, if you're any later than 8:30, you're a part timer, and you weren't expected to leave at all before 6 half past, because it
And you
was your
probably didn't
devotion
get
to the.
promotion.
So the expectation, I think, was slightly different. Certainly, when I started work, there was more investment in the development of the individuals.
Mhm.
So senior people within the organisations tended to see it as their responsibility for you to get the experience, for they help you because, okay, I was in a profession, you had to pass exams, so they needed to support in that. Um, but there was a lot of wanting to give people opportunity. I tell an example of the first firm I worked for, in that they needed somebody who was good with figures to join an accounting team where they were doing what they call incomplete records. They were just making up accounts for self-employed people. And we had somebody, she was young, working at the firm, who's a filing clerk, had done well at school, very good at maths, and would have gone on to do maths A level and probably trained to be an accountant or something. But family situation was that, once she reached school leaving age, she had to go out and earn a wage to
Yep.
bring in.
This is
Um,
exactly what
so,
we were talking about before too, about unpaid
yeah,
internships being a problem
yeah.
from an equity standpoint.
But the firm actually invested in her. They put her on
Mm.
evening classes, and she became the junior accountant. Um, nowadays, my
It's
experience of the
unheard of.
workplace and of recruitment and HR over the last 20-25 years would be, no, no, she's a filing clerk. It's kind of, she's not going to make an accountant, that
Right.
kind of thing. So I think that there was possibly a bit more investment in people. And I'm sure, there are people listening to this who run businesses, that say, we invest in our young people, we support them, we give them every opportunity and stuff. Um, and there are, but I mean, I think there's an expectation of some self development that you undertake as well. Um,
Yeah.
but I suppose the big difference that I said at the beginning is that, when I started work, the senior people within the organization kind of saw it as their responsibility to
Mm.
support you and upskill you and stuff.
And I think to your point today, there are companies that exist where some of the senior leadership does take it upon themselves, but that is certainly not the norm, unfortunately. And I will also add to your kind of ongoing list, which I feel like I should make a list somewhere and put it somewhere, of the differences. But you also had lifelong employment. You also had pensions. You also had, yeah, to your point, a lot of development and investment into people. My mom went through a 6 month training program right out of college. She went into tech sales. She studied speech pathology. So also that point of entry, being able to get a job where they're able or willing to train you right off the bat is a lot harder today. So just to showcase some of the differences, I think that to add on
Mm.
to your list as well.
Yeah, and if you work for a business where your leaders, your owners, your directors, or whatever, are of a more mature generation, shall we say, they don't get that. The number of heated debates I have with people saying, but the job market now isn't like it was when we started. This kind of, you got a job, the company upskilled you, you got to a point where you were earning enough, you could go out and take a little mortgage on a property, a
Mm,
little flat somewhere, which obviously is impossible now. And you built your way up, and
right.
obviously, things have changed over the last 30 odd years. Economically and stuff, but certainly in the West. And that's now not there. You can't really leave college, leave uni, join a firm as a trainee, and work your way up and get to that kind of level in your 40s, mid 40s, say. where you're at management level, you're earning well,
Right.
you know, you've whatever your relationship is, whoever with, if you want a family, you've got a family, you know, that is taken away. And in fact, even
Yeah.
meeting people, I mean, most people I know, in fact, quite a few of them kind of met their lifelong partners through work, which again in the modern workplace, I don't know, you're the expert at this, but is it the same, or is it, are you
I think
unlikely to spend the rest of
that's
your life
still
with somebody you're working with?
I think that's still possible, but I don't think that they would stay working at the same company for very long. I think
Yeah,
that's the difference. But I think, yeah, to your point, things are very different. We have to take that into consideration, for leaders, but also for people entering the workforce. That older, more mature leaders have this sort of perception, and aren't necessarily reflecting on their own experience of work and how that might be different from today. And that's why people hire people like us to come and talk to their HR folks to remind them of that. But thank you so much, Mervyn, for joining us. People can find you on LinkedIn, on your website, correct?
that's correct. Yes, you can look me up, Mervyn Dinnen. I'm on all the socials. And the HR Means Business podcast is the one to listen to, where I have these kind of conversations.
Love it. Maybe I'll come on one day. Thank you so much for joining.
You're very welcome.